now our time, I don't know, they hit the bell too early, so time has gone faster than usual. Would you like to just go a little bit over time and have a few minutes for maybe some Q&A or discussion? Would you like to do that? Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to raise, or maybe some feelings that they would like to share? We've got a couple of mics in the front.
Hello everybody, I'm Man Yi from Toronto. Thank you so much for Venerable Mel Guang and Venerable Wei Fong arranged this special panel for us. And also thank you for all the panelists. They spent a lot of time for their presentation. And I would like to know very simple question, no problem for us. I hope, should we be able to get all the presentation from the ECP so we can review the presentation again? If I have any problem, maybe I contact the panelists direct. Maybe that's the best way to do. And if it's possible, we would appreciate that you arrange another panel discussion. That's the best way. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Venerable Man Yi, for the positive feedback. And certainly we'll upload all the PPT files onto Boguangpedia. I think you should go under Humanistic Buddhism. And you might notice we have a camera behind, and since we wanted to record this as the first kind of collective discussion on Humanistic Buddhism, so the video will also be uploaded. But just to continue your request, I think given the short time to select our panel, we were only able to grab who are close to us. But I believe all of you guys sitting there, you are also very proficient speakers of Humanistic Buddhism. So our hope is for you to be able to really establish different panels in different parts of the world on Humanistic Buddhism. I was really surprised to hear such wonderful feedbacks and presentations today. But imagine when you go out there, when you assemble different teams, what more are we able to hear? And so that's definitely something we can do as the Chinese groups are doing. Okay, so let us establish that. And secondly, I think it's really wonderful for us to have an English panel. So this is definitely something we can push for every year or at every monastic gathering, so that we do establish a common understanding as to how we speak the language of Humanistic Buddhism in English and other languages. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Second request, and if you want to order the copies, should we go direct to your department, or what department should we go to?
Please approach 佛光文化发行部黄美华师姑。
黄美华。
Yes.
6667.
Yes, 6667 黄美华师姑，佛光文化发行部。
Thank you very much, Venerable Man. Yeah, sitting up here, we always thinking, oh yeah, we could have got Venerable Jue on our panel, why didn't we? But then we'd have 100 on the panel and 3 people in the audience. Okay, Venerable Jue.
Hello everyone, I'm Jue from Melbourne. I have a question. It was not covered in our book, but I think in terms of the Western setting, there are questions that will be raised. I don't know whether in future it could be included in a Q&A kind of standard answer. The thing is that we know about like Tibetan Buddhism or the Engaged Buddhism. There is sometimes they will have a reference to that, and then it has got to do with some political movement or whatever. So henceforth, there are people who actually ask us about Humanistic Buddhism. What is our reason behind? Of course, the answer is there, but how to make sure that we have a very clear explanations to them to say that we are not a political movement or whatever. It's not because of social movement. That's why we want to come up with this Humanistic Buddhism. But it's very much due to our Chinese Buddhism background, the Qing Dynasty and Ming Dynasty, all these things. And I don't know how you address this kind of issues about this movement aspect. Thank you.
It's a very good question. Yeah, we've kind of mentioned very briefly that while the branches and the leaves of the tree do come from China and then those centuries in China, but at the same time, it's not to say that we're then Chinese Buddhism, because that would be the challenge. Well, it's fine for you, China, but you're in Australia now. So I take a step back. Now, the exact terms is, in a sense, just note what I'm about to say very carefully. In the old original meaning of politics, politics means related to the people and related to the city, polis. And in that sense, it's not party politics, it's not the Liberal Party or the Labour Party or the Republican Party or anything like this. But it means what concerns civil society, the people who live in this society, and they have their laws, they have their customs and their cultures and their ways of dealing with social issues, social injustice, all these sorts of things. In that sense, it is political, but most people will misinterpret if you say it. So you could say it's just coming from Buddhist wisdom and Buddhist compassion, and wherever we are, we look at the world around us and we look at where we see people are in need, where we see that there are forms of injustice, where we think, when we see these issues, we step in and we respond in kind. China's had its own history of that, but of course when we take that elsewhere, we will continue adapting to wherever we happen to be. So it's not related to a specific social movement, socialism, or something like that. But if you want to find a term, you could say it's related to, say, religious humanism or humanistic religion.
And I would like to say something about the politics is that when people ask us questions related to Buddhism, to politics, they always approach in a negative ways. So I think you mentioned about having a standard answers for us to answer these people. First, we don't know who are these people. Are they politicians, scholars, or some religious people or something? So I don't think that there will be a really standard answers, but I think that there's one thing is that if we bring everything back to the Buddha's time, as according to the Buddha's time, the Buddhas interact with the kings, the Buddhas interact with the queens, the Buddhas advise the minister. So if we go back there to answer any of the questions, basically we are still following the teachings from the Buddha. And the Buddha basically just advise. We don't really involve in. So my experience in Toronto and now in Boston is that I realized that when people ask about politics, they always ask us is that, as a religious person, why do you interact with politicians? Why do you interfere? Actually, we did not interfere. 我们关心. So simple.
Tell them they need more help than anybody else.
The politicians, yeah, that's the issue. Why do you want to hang out with these politicians? And remember, from the West and these sorts of things after the Renaissance, yes, politics, religion, separate. And they're going to be very careful and try to catch you when you're not separate. But the response can also be, because these politicians, they do have problems, and they need a good example. And we're going to try to set a good example by being good people, by being upright people, by being honest people, by not being corrupt, by not just looking for money and for power. That may unfortunately make us look bad in some people's eyes by being in their company. So be it. But maybe it can help those politicians also maybe learn something. Yeah, so it's a touchy matter. If you're not sure, err on the side of caution. Another minute or two, perhaps. Maybe some of our students from the college. Oh, a bit more rosy. It's been a long time since you were a student at the college, but please.
Thank you very much. I've been encountered by some devotees who come to our temple for many years, but then finally they turn to other schools because they think that by following our humanistic Buddhism theory, they couldn't, they really have a very little time to cultivate. And I still couldn't find some very sufficient answer to them, whereby by organizing these activities, you are indeed in cultivation. So how do we convince them in this point? Thank you very much.
I think it depends on what we mean by activities. Activities can include a huge range of things. Some of them are very busy, active. But remember, arranging Dharma classes are also activities. Arranging a meditation retreat is also an activity as well. We need merit, so we do need to be out there. We need to be doing, charity work and social work, because that merit and that basic good karma is important not just for ourselves but also for our whole community. And if our whole community isn't benefiting, you want to practice by yourself in a very disruptive or poverty or crime, it's not going to happen either. But we also need to make sure that we're providing for the wisdom side as well, not just the merit. Now exactly where we're going to find that balance is going to differ from different places, because some places are already very prosperous and very stable, others less so. And also, of course, for different individuals. When we do the activities and we want devotees to come in, as Venerable Master himself said, was it 2 nights ago, we want them to be perfectly willing. If the devotees are feeling that they're very much pressured to participate, you'll have a problem. In which case we need to, just reflect and, maybe we're putting our own expectations, overburdening them, and then they'll want to do that. But are we really providing what they need and the encouragement for them to push their own limits, and to really go further than they thought they could?
I might just add something to that. I think the issue of spiritual cultivation is an ongoing debate at all branches of Boguangshan, because they seem to feel that what we're doing is not cultivation, right? And so we're being asked that question. First of all, we don't deny the need to practice meditation or chanting, because it is a means through which we come to understand ourselves. But eventually, the question that needs to be raised is, what is your focus? Is your focus in yourself? If your focus is, surely meditation and chanting will be enough for you. But eventually, we are here to realize our connectedness with other human beings. We might realize that the time we spend on our own is probably like just a few % of our entire life. And for the rest of our lives, it's about how we interact and connect. And therefore, that is when our cultivation actually comes into application. So if we look at the songs of the 10 practices in the back of our room, 十修歌, right, you might realize almost every single type of cultivation in that song is about how we connect with the people. Yeah, so it's okay if they don't want to focus on other people, just go do what they need to, it's okay, wish them well. But eventually, we will come to connect with people who see that similar value in that we need to reach out to people, and those will be the ones who come to us to follow the Bodhisattva path. So don't worry, 来就让他来，去就让他去。
I'm sure it's not because you are doing anything wrong. Okay, we just heard the clapper for the meal. We would like to wrap this up. This is just a little thing that we've thought beforehand. I don't know what the other sessions are doing, but we'd like to just wrap this up with a way of sort of coming together and affirming our own faith in humanistic Buddhism, our own practice of humanistic Buddhism, and our own propagation and dissemination of humanistic Buddhism. I'd like to pop it up. So we've got the things, we've got 3. The first 3 are, of course, the refuges, and then followed by what we might call the 3 new refuges, or refuges in the 3 new jewels. So I'd like to, shall we maybe join our palms together? We're going to recite, just read this together. On the panel, I'm going to grab the microphone perhaps, that might be easier. And we're going to read this together and have this a way of dedicating the merit and reaffirming our own faith in humanistic Buddhism as practitioners of Boguangshan. So first of all, the dedication of merits together. We take refuge in the Buddha. We take refuge in the Dharma. We take refuge in the Sangha. Also, as humanistic Buddhists, we follow Venerable Master Xing Yun as our teacher. We abide by humanistic Buddhism as our teaching. We maintain Boguangshan and Buddha Light as our community. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Thank you.
So much for this insightful and interesting morning. So please put your hands together for Venerable Hui Feng, our host, and all of our analysts. And let's hope to see more of this in the future. Thank you very much. Welcome. Please rise. Bow.
Thank you.